hearing the strange noise up on the top of the mountain.
This right here is a YouTuber named Jason, who in April of 2019 uploaded a video to his channel Appy Mountain Trekkers in which he recorded footage of his solo overnight trip to the mountains. His channel mostly focuses on outdoor activities, and he frequently uploads videos of his solo adventures. However, on this particular day, during his hike up the mountains, he encountered something truly disturbing. As soon as he arrives at the campsite, Jason begins setting up his tent and shows his viewers how he starts a fire as the sun begins to set. While waiting for nightfall, he decides to try spoon carving. This is when he hears a strange sound coming from the woods.
Keep hearing the strange noise up on the top of the mountain. I can't figure out what that is. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it sounds like some kind of, almost sounds like a bird, but it doesn't. Of course it quits. I'm hearing things. This may be a long night.
As the sound was coming from the top of one of the mountains, he dismissed it as a bird or some other small animal and continued setting up for the night. At about 9 in the evening, he turned off his camera to go to bed, but just an hour later, he was woken up by a scary sound that he said he'd never heard before and described it as a strange growling animal call.
Alright guys, we'll give you a quick update. It's about 10 after 10 and I was trying to go to sleep. I was woke up by something I've never heard in my life. I heard like 4 quick, very loud, deep guttural calls on this ridge behind me, behind camp. But it was like 4 calls, almost like a communication call of some kind. I'm still rattled. I've never heard anything like that in my life. It sounded like a mix between almost like a pig, some kind of, I hate to even say it, but a pig, an ape, and the calls almost sounded like how the velociraptors communicate with each other on Jurassic Park. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
After the jarring awakening, he attempts to go back to sleep. However, just a few hours later, around 1 a.m., he wakes up once more to what he describes as the sound of something or someone circling his tent.
It's about 1 o'clock. I woke up again. I heard something circling my camp. Whatever it is, it's close. I heard that. Whatever it is, it sounded like there was 2 or 3 of them. And it started on the other side of my camp. Went around my perimeter.
If you look closely at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can see the reflection of what appears to be 1 or 2 sets of eyes as he pans his flashlight over them. Although there are many animals with eyes that reflect light at night based on the fiery white color of the reflection, it's very likely that Jason was being observed by wolves or coyotes. If this were the case, Jason would be in grave danger. However, he doesn't even seem to notice the eyes watching him as he scans the area with his flashlight. Luckily, he went back to his tent and slept safely through the night. When he woke up the next morning, he recorded another update for his viewers, but he never mentioned the eyes that his camera had captured the night before, suggesting he might have never noticed.
I was down in my tent, not asleep, listening to all the sounds, and then I heard somebody down by the shelter. So at first I had to convince myself it wasn't what I thought I heard, but it definitely was somebody down there.
This right here is a YouTuber named Phil, who in December of 2021 uploaded a video titled Creepy Night in the Woods on his channel Hike Slam. His channel primarily focuses on outdoor exploration, and he regularly shares footage of his hiking and camping experiences throughout North America. In this particular video, Phil chose to go on a solo overnight hike along the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. He starts the video by venturing deep into the woods in search of a suitable camping location for the night. The first few minutes of his hike seemed to go smoothly, and everything appeared to be quite normal. However, about 30 minutes into the hike, he stumbles upon some peculiar trash along the trail. Oddly enough, some of the containers he discovers have writing on them that resembles song lyrics and poems. Nevertheless, Phil chooses to ignore the peculiar writing and carries on with his hike. As he explores further, he encounters another set of strange notes and writings as he approaches the campsite. This time, however, Phil notices a dead duck lying next to the notes, and this is when things start to take a very disturbing turn for Phil.
The weirdness continues. What the hell? And there's a dead duck here. A very long note. And it looks like it was just put here because it's not wet. That duck is fairly recently killed. Alright. Kind of creepy.
After discovering another set of disturbing writings and cryptic poems, Phil finds a dead duck lying next to them. At that moment, he notices a campsite just a few yards away from the notes and the dead duck. It's unclear whether the person who wrote the notes is also responsible for killing the duck. Nevertheless, Phil decides to keep his distance from the campsite and continues on his hike. As he makes his way up the trail, he encounters two women hiking down the trail.
Okay, well, that was really weird. So as I was hiking toward the shelter, these two women were hiking in the opposite direction. They had a little dog with them. They asked if I had seen the guy who was leaving the notes. I said he has a campsite down by the river. They were shocked I was still considering camping out there, but they said that they were kind of freaked out and asked if I would go with them and walk past his campsite so they could get back to their car. So I did, and then when I got back to my truck, and I'm actually on the Appalachian Trail, just going the opposite direction. But I'm just gonna find the closest camp spot to where I'm at because the sun is going down, and set up camp and yeah, settle in for the night.
Phil mentioned that the two women asked him if he had seen a man leaving disturbing notes and dead animals. When he told them he noticed a campsite just a few yards away from the notes, the women, afraid for their lives, asked him to walk back to their car with them. Phil agreed and walked back with them before heading in the opposite direction to find a safer place to camp for the night. Once Phil arrived at the shelter, he set up camp for the night and enjoyed his dinner, far away from the unsettling notes. Later that night, Phil went into the shelter to check out the camp log and read some of the notes and stories left by other hikers. That's when Phil discovered something extremely disturbing once again.
I'm gonna check out the shelter log here. Almost every shelter on the Appalachian Trail has a shelter log. So it's kind of cool tradition here. So let's see what this one says. All right, let's see what's happened recently. Holy crap. Wait a second. This writing looks almost exactly like the writing that was on that garbage a couple of miles from here.
It's important to note that the shelter where Phil is currently located is more than 2 miles away and is situated entirely on the opposite side of the road from the notes and ducks he saw earlier. The handwriting in the camp log is identical to the handwriting he found in the previous notes and trash. The situation becomes increasingly disturbing as Phil starts to read through the logbook.
In 2018, while I was incarcerated at the Okaloosa County Jail, what the heck? In solitary confinement, I figured the following out. Refer to Isaiah 28:15. Here in early 2017, Trump, Nebo, allowed Obama to have the special use of the Air Force One for a trip to Palm Springs. This is the same ramblings from the guy that was on the other side of the river. That's kind of scary. Wow, this is weird. It's just like it goes in one direction, then immediately goes in a completely different direction. And there's just so much of it. Like this line up here. Think grave robbery in an attempt to obscure the reality of little Mrs. Wolf. In the past, the Russian collusion assertion have been followed up on many occasions with the advancement of illusions that would show discord in fiction between the colluding parties. You're falling faster. Obey your master. What the heck? Okay, that's crazy.
After reading the logbook, it's evident that a convicted felon has been wandering through the woods, leaving disturbing notes all over the place. The writing raises concerns about his mental stability, which is particularly alarming considering that Phil is alone in the middle of nowhere at night and doesn't seem to have anything to defend himself with. As Phil walked back to the shelter, he noticed a bottle hanging from a string on the ceiling. Attached to it was a note in the same handwriting as before, that read, "Watch out for Yeet Mouse, the dead do walk and talk." Disturbed by everything he was witnessing, Phil was overwhelmed with fear and anxiety. He ultimately decided to return to his tent and call it a night. However, as he tried to fall asleep, he heard footsteps approaching the shelter right next to his tent.
Okay, I'm out on the trail. It's the middle of the night. I was down in my tent listening to all the sounds, and then I heard somebody down by the shelter. So at first I had to convince myself it wasn't what I thought I heard, but it definitely was somebody down there. So I packed up all my stuff and I walked past. As I walked past, I did look. It did look like a single guy hanging out in the shelter. He had a headlamp on. All I could really see was the light from the headlamp, so I could have been wrong. So I don't know. I just got out of there.
After hearing footsteps outside his tent, Phil peeked out and noticed a man with a headlamp wandering around the shelter. Unsure if this was the same individual who had been leaving notes, he quickly gathered his things and headed back to his truck. Fortunately for Phil, he was not being followed or stalked and returned home safely. As of the time this video was uploaded, Phil has not gone back back to the Appalachian Trail. The identity of the person who left the creepy notes and killed the duck remains unclear, and since Phil never found out the truth behind these disturbing experiences, this mystery might remain unsolved.
Is that a badger? Hello?
This right here is a YouTuber named Daniel O'Neill, who in August of 2024 uploaded a video titled "Never Been So Scared When Camping" on his channel English Woodsman. He frequently uploads footage of his outdoor camping experiences while traveling across the UK. In this particular video, Daniel decided to go camping in the woods somewhere in the UK. As he explores the area, he points out to his viewers the footprints and trash left by other campers. After walking for a bit, he sets up his camp and decides to settle down. Everything up to this point appears to be normal. However, about 30 minutes into the video, while showcasing the camping gear he brought, he suddenly hears footsteps behind him and calls out to whoever is out there.
And rain camping is really good. Is that a badger? Hello?
After hearing the disturbing footsteps, he got up to investigate his surroundings, and the footsteps suddenly stopped, indicating that someone was indeed watching over him. After searching everywhere, he unfortunately didn't find anything. However, as soon as he sat down, he heard the footsteps again, but this time they were louder and closer.
There's that noise again now. Hello? Hello? You got to better hear that. There's nobody here. And it sounds like someone's just walking around. I can handle it one. Can you hear it? It's like it's just there.
After hearing the noise for the second time, he called them out multiple times but didn't get any response. Fortunately, the noises eventually stopped. While most people would have likely left the forest by then, Daniel chose to stay overnight. As the night began to set in, he enjoyed his dinner and decided to go to bed.
I'm actually breaking wind. I'm quite scared, people. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. If it's a human, they come up and laugh at me, scaring the hell out of me. But this is going to be a long night if I'm nervous like this and scared now. I need to know what this sound is. It's not like it was. It's like and then it stops. I'm only talking to you guys because it sort of like helps me a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I can't stay here now. I want to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp in the comments, but I can't stay here. I'm too unsettled. I'm nervous. I've done camping like this a load of times. I think I'm going to go find somewhere else to get this bivvy set up. But I'm leaving this spot, like, now.
As he was trying to fall asleep, he couldn't stop thinking about those mysterious footsteps. His fear and paranoia grew, ultimately leading him to leave the forest. Many comments left by Daniel's viewers mention that he made the right choice by trusting his gut feeling and leaving the forest. The source of the footsteps is still unknown, but they likely came from someone following him while trying to stay out of sight. Their true intentions are unclear, but based on their actions, they were probably up to no good. Nevertheless, it was definitely the right decision for Daniel to leave the forest.
There is a lot of noises in these woods. Sounds like kids screaming. That's a bird. That's a gunshot. I don't know if you'll be able to hear a lot of this, it's pretty distant, but it sounds like kids screaming.
This right here is a YouTuber named Louise, who in January of 2019 uploaded a video titled "The Most Scared I've Ever Been" while camping on her channel Camper Vibe. Her channel primarily showcases her outdoor adventures throughout the UK as she travels in her camper van. In this particular video, Louise went camping alone in a place called the Daring Woods, situated in Pluckley, England. Pluckley is known as one of the most haunted villages in England. The village is even listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the most haunted village in Britain. However, Louise had no knowledge of this when she chose to go camping there. As she ventured into the woods, she demonstrated to her viewers how she set up her campsite and chopped wood for a fire. While cooking dinner, she mentioned hearing strange noises in the distance, but she chose to ignore them and continued preparing her dinner. However, as she began eating her meal, she heard the strange noises again, and that's when things took a very disturbing turn.
I don't know if you can see, a Cadbury's Pot of Joy yogurt, basically chocolate yogurt. There is a lot of noises in these woods. Sounds like kids screaming. That's a bird. That's a gunshot. I don't know if you'll be able to hear a lot of this, it's pretty distant, but it sounds like kids screaming. Honestly, I've never known a woods with so many strange noises. It's not just your normal birds and stuff. Oh, I don't really know how to describe it, but I should sleep well, I would think. Where's my big bean? What was that noise? This is definitely odd. I've got no idea if you guys heard that or not, but honestly, I don't like it, I'm gonna be honest. It's not deer, like I know what deer sound like.
After hearing the noises several times, she began to explore the woods to investigate the source of the strange noises. After searching for a while and not finding anything suspicious, she decided to settle in and go to sleep. However, at around 2 in the morning, she was awakened by loud footsteps right next to her tent.
That I don't want to turn the light on because I'm pretty convinced there's been a person or persons. But I've never wanted the morning to come as much as I do right now.
After this chilling experience, she mentioned that the loud footsteps were made by more than one person. A few minutes later, as she gathered the courage to look outside her tent, she heard crows flying away, suggesting that someone or something had startled the sleeping crows.
Turn the light on earlier because I swear to God that was footsteps. This is definitely the scariest night I've ever had in a tent. I'm sure I can still hear footsteps.
As the night came to a close, she gathered her things and safely returned to her van. While providing her viewers with a detailed update on her experiences, she made a quick Google search about the area and found out that she had indeed spent the night in the most haunted village in the UK. As for the unsettling noises and footsteps she heard earlier, they were likely caused by someone lurking around her campsite. However, since she never identified who or what was responsible for those sounds, it remains an unsolved mystery.